Hello there, lovely people, it's Alex from Nintendo Life here, and today it's time for us to review FIFA 21 on the Nintendo Switch, or FIFA 21 Legacy Edition for Nintendo, whatever the hell the full title is, I really can't remember. This review was originally written by the venerable Chris Scullion, and has been adapted for video by me. But anyway, that's more than enough waffling, let's dive right into things. Alright, enough's enough. Ever since EA first brought the FIFA series to the Switch with FIFA 18, Nintendo fans have been given a lesser version of the game seen on other systems. At first, we gave EA the benefit of the doubt and put it down to the challenges of porting a game to a less powerful system with a user base that hadn't seen a new FIFA game in over half a decade. We even semi-smiled when the game's producer explained in interviews that the reason that the Switch's version had fewer modes than the Xbox One and PS4 versions was because the Journey story mode was only possible with the power of the Frostbite engine, despite just being a load of cutscenes. And Ultimate Team would overwhelm Nintendo gamers if they were exposed to everything they had to offer right away. It was complete nonsense and ever so slightly patronizing, but hey, it was their first year, so we held our tongue and decided we'd give EA time to establish the series on Switch and see where it would go from there. In the years that have followed, however, EA has continued to shortchange the Switch, and by this point, with the second Legacy Edition in a row, it's clear as day now that it has no interest whatsoever in providing a game that offers anything remotely new or improved for Switch owners. So with that in mind, we have absolutely no interest whatsoever in recommending that anyone purchases FIFA 21 either. If you're familiar with the Legacy Edition branding, you already know what to expect here, and it's not much. There are no new game modes, no new features, nothing to separate this game from last year's game, other than the obligatory squad and kit updates that you would expect with a new year and a new Premier League and all that gubbins. If you own FIFA 20 on the Switch, FIFA 21 is virtually the same game. Of course, if you do own FIFA 20 on the Switch, you've probably already been through this because that game was also a Legacy Edition based on FIFA 19. And in fact, as we previously revealed in our FIFA 18 review, the whole FIFA series on Switch has always been based on the Legacy Edition of FIFA 18 for the Xbox 360 and PS3. What this boils down to is that for the past 4 years now, Switch owners have been playing practically the same Xbox 360 version of FIFA 17, with EA showing no real interest in changing things beyond the stuff that we've mentioned. What this obviously means is that all the major features added to the Xbox One and PS4 versions of the game over the past few years once again haven't been carried over to the Switch. Volta Street Football? Forget it. The enhanced career mode with its new training options? No chance. You're still stuck with the Xbox 360 and PS3 FIFA 17 career mode here, which itself has been lying unchanged since FIFA 15. What this means is that the Switch's main single-player mode hasn't been changed since Steven Gerrard was still a player, rather than the manager of a team who are winning nothing. And Scully has told me that he is a Celtic supporter, so, you know, he can say that. Perhaps most galling of all is that Ultimate Team, traditionally the most popular mode in FIFA, is included here, but is a complete waste of time. It's almost as if EA just kept it in to remind Switch players what they could be enjoying if they bothered to buy the quote-unquote proper version of the game, if you view it that way. You know, the version on the systems where people actually spend money on microtransactions and are therefore worth allocating development time to. For starters, it's half-baked. Well, it's quarter-baked. It's based on the Ultimate Team mode from a few years ago and has no new features like squad battles, FUT champions, stadium customization, or seasons, where you perform tasks within a certain time frame to earn XP and unlock special players. On top of that, the fact that nobody's playing it means the transfer market is a ghost town. At the time that this review was written, there were 19,000 players listed for transfer, compared to over 1 million on Xbox Xbox One. It's all well and good to say that the Switch version now has Ultimate Team, but when it doesn't share the Xbox or the PlayStation ecosystems, you're just gonna be left competing with 3 blokes and a dog. The frustrating thing is that it's a catch-22 situation. If questioned about this, EA would undoubtedly claim that nobody is playing the thing on Switch, so there's no point in putting in extra resources to make sure that it improves. But the point is, nobody's going to play something that's clearly so undercooked and frankly inferior to what's being offered on other systems. We aren't talking about the gameplay on the pitch. Of course, the Switch is a less powerful system, so that's understandable. But in terms of features, there's no technical reason why Ultimate Team can't have every other option that the other formats do. Instead of separating the Switch version of Ultimate Team from that on other systems, EA should have looked into making the Switch version a companion piece. FIFA's mobile and web apps get you to sign into an EA account, and then you can mess around with your Xbox and PlayStation FIFA squads, take part in the squad building challenges, sell players, and all that sort of thing. Had the Switch version offered this instead of insisting that you have your own standalone Switch team, EA would suddenly have what is really quite an enticing offer. You can play your Xbox or PlayStation Ultimate Team at home and then take your team on the go and continue to improve it on Switch. If Fortnite lets you merge your account between systems, we're certain EA could have figured it out if they bloody wanted to. Instead, we're stuck with a lame duck, a mode that nobody's playing on a game nobody's buying because it's a version nobody bothered to improve. And we all know how this is going to eventually go because we've seen this before on the Wii U. EA will eventually stop making FIFA games for the Switch altogether and claim that poor sales made it a waste of time, essentially turning the blame to Switch owners for not gratefully handing over almost full price to play a severely undercooked second-class game that sees notable improvements every year on other systems. The reality is that we aren't idiots, and the Switch user base isn't made up of second-class citizens. It's estimated now that total Switch sales have overtaken those of Xbox One, and that's with a 4-year head start taken into account. It is indeed a less powerful system, but the user base is so obviously there, and Nintendo is once again in a position of power where its players don't need to curtsy and gracefully kiss the feet of any third-party publisher who generously decides to grace the system with its presence. Say what you like about 2K Sports microtransactions nonsense, and I will, but at least it manages to achieve full system parity every year with the NBA 2K games on the Switch, instead of just fobbing us off with nonsense about how story mode is only possible with the power of a certain engine, or how Switch owners' glass brains are too delicate to handle every mode without shattering into a million bloomin' pieces. It gets on with it and it makes it work. 2K proves that if you actually put the work in, you can create a brilliant Switch port that doesn't make apologies for the hardware it's running on. Meanwhile, companies like Konami, who admittedly didn't even bother trying to bring the Pro Evolution Soccer series to the Switch, at least acknowledge that they've hit the end of the road and they aren't bothering to update the games anymore. This year, Konami decided to focus most of its attention on working on upcoming next-gen versions of PES, so it released a season update which is suspiciously similar to a Legacy Edition on Xbox One and PS4, and they only charged 25 quid for it in the UK. Meanwhile, EA's trying to get you to fork over £45 or $50 for what is essentially the 4th Legacy Edition of FIFA 17. Let's face it, we all know why FIFA was put on the Switch in the first place, whilst fans of Madden, NHL, and the like went without ever getting a Switch port. Ultimate Team's microtransactions are a huge money spinner for EA, and it clearly hoped that lightning would continue to strike on the Switch. What it didn't count on, however, was that Switch owners weren't willing to accept a version of FIFA that didn't have all the same modes that other players enjoy, and so, when it was clear that Ultimate Team wasn't the same magic money tree it was on Nintendo's system, EA shut up shop and went down the Legacy Edition route. If EA wants FIFA to sell in decent numbers on the Switch, it needs to stop pretending that the Switch is not a viable platform, and needs to stop insulting its owners by chucking Legacy Editions on the thing as if it were a flatlining system near the end of its life, rather than a thriving console that continues to break sales records every month. And frankly, we're bored of saying, oh, but it's still a good game, so here's a half-decent score for it anyway. You know, fool us once and all that. This is where we recommend that you instead buy a cheaper version of FIFA 20 or FIFA 19 instead, because it's exactly the same game. But, sorry, what's this? Oh dear, it would appear that FIFA 20, FIFA 19, and FIFA 18 have magically disappeared from the Nintendo eShop, meaning FIFA 21 is the only actual option for anyone looking to buy the game digitally on the Switch. Oh, what a coincidence! Of course, this must just be some sort of technical glitch, and definitely isn't EA trying to force players into buying the newest name of an old game Absolutely. In short, we're done with FIFA on the Switch. Do not buy this game. Just don't. If you do, you are actively informing EA that it is perfectly fine to put in zero effort and get silly money in return. It was bad enough before, but to actually remove every other version of the game from the eShop it's just ridiculous. Either find a physical copy of FIFA 20 or FIFA 19 on sale cheap somewhere, or try to come to terms with the fact that FIFA is dead on Switch until EA decides to pull its finger out and offer us something worth buying instead of inevitably blaming us for not being stupid enough to accept an inferior product. FIFA 21 is the straw that breaks the camel's back. After initially impressing us with FIFA 18, despite it being based on the previous year's outing FIFA 17, EA has completely shut up shop and made no effort whatsoever to improve the series on Switch, by now giving us the second Legacy Edition in a row, whilst also removing the previous games from the eShop to ensure that this is the only option that remains. EA has inadvertently created another, more realistic option. Ignore this game entirely and do not give out your hard-earned cash in return for being insulted. You've reached the end of the video. Yes, it's time for Alex's personal thoughts, and my God, that was satisfying to read. I'm not going to go on and on. I think the review speaks for itself, and all I will say is that from my personal view, Alex Olney, don't buy this game. Just bloomin' don't.